Well, folks, Kamala and I just received a briefing from senior leaders across our administration from Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. And to state the obvious, I'm sure you feel the same way. Our heart goes out to all those folks who've lost not only personal property, but their homes, and some lost lives. And grieving at the aftermath of the tornadoes, brutal wind, record downpours, and historic flooding. I must have spoken in the last 3 days to 50 to 75 members from North Carolina all the way down to Florida, talking to mayors and county executives. And anyway, it's amazing what's going on. And this is the third major storm to hit Florida in 3 months. And experts estimate that is in its early estimates. It could be more, could be less, but estimate that it's caused damages around $50 billion from Hurricane Milton alone. Just alone, $50 billion. I want everyone in the impacted areas to know we're going to do everything we can to help you pick back up the pieces and get back to where you were. We've been in constant contact, calling and reaching out to over 40 state and local officials, as I said, and we have to give them a little bit of hope. I mean, some of you have been through crises. You know, the one thing you wonder about when things are really bad is there hope? Is anybody coming? Is it going to happen? And that's what's happening right now. State and local officials are doing everything they can to help these folks recover. At my request, the primary focus of today's briefing has been on the power restoration and debris removal because there are urgent needs. Milton left over 3 million people without power, but with the dedication of 50,000 power line workers, 50,000 power line workers from 43 states and the country in Canada have stepped up and come down to help and to restore, and they've already restored power to 1 million people so far. And by the way, if you ever watch these guys and women climb these poles in the middle of nowhere, they're risking this while they're doing this work. And we just spoke to CEOs of the public and private electric utilities to thank them for surging their restoration crews to people who urgently need power, even in the communities they don't serve. That's one of the points. A lot of these folks are going into communities they don't serve at all. They're just volunteering. And the energy sector is real. And by the way, our Secretary Jennifer Granholm, Energy, she calls it a mini NATO, a commitment, mutual assistance, and another shining example. Americans literally, when push comes to shove, they stand up and take care of one another. We're going to continue to prioritize this effort until everyone is reconnected and back online. We've been able to get this work done quicker because of critical infrastructure investments we've made. But when I was vice president, both when I was vice president and since I've been president, to harden the grid, and the grid you all know, but the grid meaning for your listeners, the electric power grid that transmits power. Harden the grid by incorporating innovative technologies like burying transmission lines underground, replacing wood power poles with concrete power poles that don't snap in the wind. To reduce the impact of extreme weather and climate change, we have to continue making these investments. We were just talking about it with the utility companies and with our team here and with the secretary. You know, over the years, the past several years, Florida has taken the money back I got when we were vice president, to invest in putting these lines underground. It costs a hell of a lot more to put the lines underground than it does up in the air, but up to 6 times more or 7 times more. But it makes sense, because anybody who says we don't want to spend the money, think of the 3 storms. After every damn storm, you wipe out the power grid, you got to rebuild it. And so if you can keep it so it's not wiped out, it makes long-term savings. And the other thing, the big deal, is debris removal. FEMA and the Corps of Engineers and the Florida National Guard are now on the ground helping the state clear debris to reopen roads and critical ports as well. I mean, so you've seen the pictures. Some of you have been there. You see, for example, in North Carolina, where half a mountain comes down and a bridge rolls in the water, and you got piles. I mean, you see at the end of a river or in a cul-de-sac. I mean, piles are 3, 4, 5 feet high with all kinds of debris in there. It's going to take a lot of time and money to remove it. But the Army Corps and the Florida National Guard in Florida are on the ground helping clear this debris and reopen the roads. And so they have to do it for other reasons, to make critical deliveries of food, water, and tarps and life-saving supplies. The Coast Guard is leading the effort to reopen the Port of Tampa, which you all know, because everybody's been covering it and they've done a good job of doing it. Covering it because it's a port that delivers a lot of fuel that goes into the region and goods that are necessary. It's critical for the economy of the region. And again, let me say that the misinformation out there is not only just disgusting, but it's dangerous. It's misleading. And again, the first thing it does, and I mean it sincerely, a lot of you have been through these crises, some of you personally. But people desperately want hope. Tell me it's going to be okay. Tell me it's going to be okay. And they're in real trouble about it. And to hear this malarkey you're hearing from some of the people, I want to get into it, but I lose my temper. But anyway, the truth is we're providing all the resources that are needed. Let me close with this. I want to thank you again to our brave first responders, power line workers, state and local officials, neighbors helping neighbors, and so many more. Look, it's a team effort. I know it sounds corny, but it really is a team effort. Everybody in the game here. And we're looking at it very seriously, and we're working together. And it's made a big difference. I think we've saved lives, not me, but we, all of those folks out in the field, have saved lives. But there's more to do, and we're going to do everything in my power to get it done. And the fact of the matter is that we're in a situation where, well, we're going to have to, I know I'm going to go to the Vice President in a second. She's my boss. We're going to be.
President.
Hang on a second, Madam Vice President.
Sure.
We're going to be going to the Congress. We're going to need a lot of help. We need a lot more money as we identify specifically how much is needed. So I'm just telling everybody now. I don't want to hear that this is going to be the end of it. So with that, I'll yield to the Vice President.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you to all of the men and women represented at the agencies that are represented by the members of the President's Cabinet for the work that they've been doing around the clock. In the wake of Hurricane Milton, we have, of course, witnessed widespread devastation. Homes and neighborhoods have been severely damaged. Millions of people are without power and thousands without clean water. To the people of Florida, and you must know, and to all of those in the region, our nation is with you. We see your incredible strength and resilience, and we are working around the clock to keep you safe. We continue to coordinate resources with local and state authorities, including food, water, medical supplies, and generators, and we will continue to work with the teams on the ground to restore water and power as quickly as possible. In the coming days and weeks, President Biden and I will make sure that the communities that are there on the ground and have been affected will have the resources they need, not only to respond to the storm, but also to recover. And we will continue to keep communities in Florida, Georgia, North and South Carolina, and across the Southeast ensured that they will recover from Hurricane Helene. Finally, I will say once again, as Secretary Mayorkas and I have discussed, to any company or individual that is using this crisis to jack up prices through illegal fraud or price gouging, whether it be at the gas pump, the airport, or the hotel counter, we will be monitoring and there will be a consequence. The bottom line is this: we are in this for the long haul, and the support and the coordination between the federal, state, and local authorities and leaders has been extraordinary and will continue for as long as it takes. I thank you all.
Thank you.
Mr. President, are you worried about misinformation that you've been talking about, that you're so worried about.
Say again?
The misinformation that you've been
Yes.
talking about related to this hurricane and the recovery efforts, do you think it's temporary, or do you think and worry that this might be a permanent state of being for this country?
I think it's a permanent state of being for some extreme people. But I don't think it's what the country's about. We're breaking through with it. We're breaking through with the truth. And if you notice, and I've really been proud, I've been on the phone talking to a lot of Republican mayors and governors. They're standing up saying this is not Joe Biden, but conservative, hardcore Republican governors, hardcore Republican mayors standing up and saying it's got to stop. It's got to stop. And I believe there's nothing permanent about it. I'm pleased that more Americans are coming together in a purely voluntary way. I mean, this is who the hell we are. When America's in trouble, we go and jump in and try to help. Help your neighbor. And that's basically what's happened. But the thing that bothers me the most is there's a lot of people who get caught in these crises who are basically alone. You know, widowers, people in hospitals, people who are by themselves, and they don't know, and they lose contact, and they just get scared to death. And anyway, so I think I think those who have been spreading these lies to try to undermine the opposition are going to pay a price for it.
Do
Mr.
you think
President,
Donald
worried
Trump
about
is
this impact?
singularly to blame for all of this?
No, he's not singling me. He's just the biggest mouth.
Mr. President, have you spoken to Speaker Johnson on
No, I
Colorado's
haven't,
side?
but I've spoken to Republicans who want to speak to Speaker Johnson. And I think Speaker Johnson's going to get the message that he's got to step up, particularly for small businesses.
Do you plan to meet with DeSantis in Florida?
I've spoken to him, if he's available. Yeah, he's been very cooperative. We got on very, very well.
Mr.
Mr. President, are you asking Israel to stop hitting UN peacekeepers?
Absolutely, positively.
Mr.
What-
President,
what-
will you approve Mr. Trump's
Right.
request to use military aircraft in the final stages of the campaign?
I'm sorry?
Will you approve Mr. Trump's request to use military aircraft in the final stages of the campaign?
As long as you don't ask for F-15s.
Well,
Let's go back.
Look, well, I've told the department to give him every single thing he needs for his, as he were sitting president, give all that he needs. If it fits within that category, that's fine, but if it doesn't, he shouldn't.
Mr. President,